Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin/cryptocurrency update for Saturday, August the 8th. Before I jump into the content for this video, please do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already, make sure you check the description. You'll find a link where you can join the Patron. It's just $7 a month. That gives you access to more frequent updates and also helps to keep the channel going. Right now, there's not a lot of people in the Patreon. I think it's about $400 or $500 a month. So, it's kind of starting to fall a little further down my priority list. So, if you enjoy these videos and you want to keep these videos coming, make sure you do join that Patreon because there's going to eventually be a point where if it's not growing, then it's not worth doing. So what I want to talk about today, and I'm going to try to keep this video fairly concise because I did shoot you a video yesterday. You just didn't see it because it was 55 minutes long and I just couldn't bring myself to go through it and actually edit the video. And I know people say, James, we don't care about the editing. You can just upload it, but I can't because as I'm switching windows and things like that, I might accidentally show a screen that I don't want to show. For example, one of my trading accounts or, whatever the case may be. Just basically because of operational security, I have to go through and edit the videos and make sure that I haven't missed anything or overlooked anything, maybe showing a username or whatever. So I didn't even upload the video, and it's a bummer that I didn't because I had re-highlighted the double top that I had talked about on August 4th, and then of course just a few hours later price dumped like 5%. So I'm going to talk about a few things, going to keep it fairly concise though. So first things first, the reason that I'm on this page here, this is a Harvard University page, is because guys, girls, the one thing in life that really burns my ass, right, is the number of people who play victim or the number of people that go through life with this victim mentality like, oh, I wasn't given the opportunity or this wasn't fair, that wasn't fair. I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody has an even playing field because the truth is they don't. We all start from different positions in life based on a whole variety of factors. But there's also people out there who make excuses. And so, for example, one of the things that is a really lucrative career, and I'm not being cliche here, but one of the things that's a very lucrative career is something like computer programming, right? It's one of those careers where you don't actually have to have a college degree. And then you have people who will sit and do nothing and complain and complain and complain. But then you have universities like Harvard. They actually, this is a website. This is literally Harvard's website. Yes, the famous Harvard. And most of these courses are free, right? So for example, introduction to computer programming, web development, entrepreneurship and emerging economies, CS50, which is again computer science, it's game development, nonprofit financial stewardship. There's just all these classes on there, right? This is pertinent, right? Medical ventilation. And you can go on there and you can find this stuff for free. So, there's all kinds of stuff available on YouTube. Like people will often ask me, James, where did you learn to trade? Well, the truth is I learned to trade in a very odd way. I learned to trade through trial and error because that's how I personally learn. I'm really, really bad at watching videos because I have severe, and I mean severe, attention deficit disorder. Now, some people look at that as a disability, and I look at it more as a superpower. Because what a lot of people don't understand about ADD is the fact that, yes, it's very, very difficult to focus on things that don't interest you. But people who suffer from ADD also have an innate ability to hyper-focus on the things that do focus or do interest them. So, for example, in my case, every few years I tend to start new businesses or start some new adventure. It's exciting, it's fun, I get super hyper-focused. I go harder at it than what is quite frankly normal. I tend to get pretty good at it and then I get bored and do something else. And that's literally how I came across crypto. Was it was fascinating to me, it excited me, and I hyper focused on it. And it's been one of the few things that I've actually stuck with for more than a year or two. But right now I'm kind of in this thing where I'm going back and I'm trying to learn to program again. I actually have programmed on and off over the last, 25 years really, but never really professionally, just as a hobby. About 4 years ago, I got super bored. My business was doing well. I didn't really have a lot to do. I had basically everything outsourced, and I was just bored. So I took some local classes, like in-person classes on how to program, and I learned how to program in Python. So I'm kind of, I've got some really big ideas for some software that I think is going to help a lot of people in the crypto space. And I already have a few software products. But this time I want to do it a little different. I wanted to code my own stuff so I know it more intimately. So that's what I've been doing lately, right? And I'm pointing all this out because there's freaking opportunity everywhere. You just have to go out there and grab hold of it, right? Nobody should be watching this channel thinking, gosh, I can never learn to trade. Of course you can. Number one, I actually have a course on trading. So if you're just super interested in paying for a course, let me know. Leave a comment. I'll get you a link to the course. I don't actively push it. I don't run any ads for it. It sells maybe 30, 40 copies a year. People are very happy with it, but it's not like a main source of income to me, but I'm more than happy to share it. I just don't push it because, quite frankly, I just don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy, right? I did sales for a long time and I don't want to do sales. But you don't even, if you don't want to buy my course, there's all kinds of free technical analysis stuff. Go to Google, right? Learn some basic technical analysis. It will make your life so much easier, I promise. All right, so enough harping. The first thing that I want to talk about after that is I'm going to show you guys why it sucks being a bear, okay? This is not actually my post. This actually came up the other day. I was doing some research, and what I was actually researching was bubbles in general because of the stock market, right, where it's at. So long story short, I stumbled across this in Google and I clicked on it and I thought, wow, look at this chart. So this person posted this chart back in January of 2018, and what they were predicting was that we were actually at the complacency stage, and that we were getting ready to have this massive drop. Now, they weren't exactly right. It didn't go straight down or anything, right? But they were right? That really was the top. This candle that closed on the 3-day chart, this was that January 4th, 2018 candle. This really was the top before this thing completely collapsed and fell down to about $6,000 over a couple of weeks. Right? I lost an enormous amount of money through here, and I wish like hell I had seen this chart back then, because I will be honest with you and tell you that the main reason that I lost money in 2018 was my own damn fault. I was way too complacent, and that's what complacency is, right? My thing is, I knew that Bitcoin had crashed in the past, but I was always told, oh, it only crashed because Mt. Gox got hacked. So I didn't really understand that markets went through cycles. Not back then, I didn't, right? I thought that this crash that had happened from $1,000 down to $200 was a freak event that happened because of this huge hack, and that nothing like that was going to happen again. I did not understand that markets repeat these cycles. So I wasn't interested in selling up here. And if I would have seen this, I probably still would have been interested, unless I did a lot more Googling. It wasn't until after it crashed and fell down to around $6,000 that I started really digging into market cycles, and I realized my huge blunder, right? And by then, not only had I not sold the top, but I was actually buying on the way down. I bought a lot of Bitcoin around 13 grand, which was a really bad place to buy it, right? So yeah, I did end up losing a lot of money, unfortunately, right? But what I wanted to point out about this was this chart was posted on January 5th, and if you went down and looked at the comments, you would think this guy was getting all kinds of praise. But what he actually got was people basically talking mad shit, which is the same thing that I put up with all through last year, and I've been putting up with it, during the last couple of months this year, to a lesser degree. People haven't been so harsh this year. Maybe because I was right last year and they don't want to look stupid a second time, but there's still those trolls, right? So I want to point this out, because if you are watching this video and you're one of these people that are rude to people who have an idea that you don't care for, you might want to backtrack a bit and realize that we need different ideas in the market, right? I was in one Facebook group, which turned out to be a complete scam. They were just selling high ticket products to their members. They didn't really know what the hell they were doing. But there was one guy in there, and he tried so hard to warn people in 2018, like in early 2018, that Bitcoin was probably going to go down 90%. Now, he was wrong. It didn't actually go down 90%. It went down about 84%. But come on, he was pretty damn close. And I remember people just beat this guy up and just talked, down to this guy and called him names and said he was spreading FUD. And it finally got to be so much that he just left the group and said, "Look, if you want more of my stuff, you can come join my group, but I'm not gonna sit here and be abused." And unfortunately, because so many people were abusing this poor guy, right? I was buying into the herd mentality where, oh well, he must be wrong because no one else agrees with him. But in reality, he was right. And it could have saved me a couple $100,000 worth of pain, and not only saved me a couple $100,000 worth of losses, but had I had that money when the market really did bottom, and had I been able to invest that money, I would have made literally millions of dollars last year. Instead, all I did last year was basically make back the money I lost, right? It was literally a life-changing thing because I made the wrong decision. So when I look at this chart right here, okay, obviously we know now in hindsight this guy was spot on. But look at these comments, guys. Look at this. Stop spreading FUD. Guarantee this guy never came back and apologized, right? Or how about this one? $200 Bitcoin? Cool, right? Now maybe this guy's being a smart ass, maybe not, who knows? This guy down here talking about heading toward 50 grand, right? This is the most retarded bullshit I have seen. I won't give a technical refutation because this is pure dog crap. This guy's got a pro account. Supposedly he's a pro, right? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of the comments like this, I just delete them so they don't even show up on the channel because I just don't allow the negativity. What I do is I just hit the button that hides the people so they can't even see my channel anymore, right? Laugh out loud. What? I wouldn't deny the possibility of a correction down to 10K, although unlikely in my opinion. You belong in the loony bin, fear mongering. Again, you think this person ever came back and said sorry, right? Doubt it. LEL. So Bitcoin's going to pay us $200 in February? That's nice. I know crypto is at a whole new level, but please, mate, even if it bursts, it's never going to go below $2,000 in the best of best options. Well, at least this guy was semi-right, right? It didn't go below 2,000, but I would never say never, right? And anyway, I mean, it just goes on and on and on, right? You can read through these comments, and people were abusing this guy. And again, all he was doing was trying to present this idea that, hey, we might be in a bubble, right? And as it turns out, he was 100% correct. He was spot on, right? But you can read through this and you can read his responses and you can literally see him losing confidence. The more people that question him, the more people that abuse him, you can see his responses become less and less empowered and more, well, it's just an idea, right? Versus, oh, I think this is what's happening. No, it's just an idea, right? And that's literally the same thing that happened to me in 2017. I didn't know about the market cycles. I didn't really understand market cycles. I didn't understand all that. But what I did expect was some type of major correction. And in my mind, a correction might have went down to like 10K, right? Or 7 or 8K or something. I don't remember. But I remember doing this video on December 7th, 2017. And I basically said, hey, I think it's time to sell, my crypto. And I got so much hate and so much abuse on that video that I became so embarrassed. And I'm normally a pretty confident person. I normally don't let other people's opinion influence me too much. But it was so bad on that video. And of course, I was still new, only 7 months in. I literally took the video down like a week later and just was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. That's so embarrassing. But guess what? I was right. I was absolutely right. I should have been selling my crypto, right? But the masses ganged up on me and basically beat me down. So right now you've got to ask yourself, what are the masses doing? What are the masses saying? If you went out on Twitter right now and said you were bullish, how many people would agree and how many would disagree? If you went and said you were bearish, how many would agree and how many would disagree? I guarantee you that if you went to Twitter, and I haven't been on Twitter in several days, like I said, I've really almost completely stopped going there, but I guarantee you that if you went and posted anything bearish, you would get shit on right now, right? So just keep that in mind, okay? I'm not going to do the whole 50-minute video that I did yesterday. I walked through all this stuff in great detail. I walked through all these different charts showing fractals on the stock market, on Bitcoin, showing all these different things. I'm not going to do it again. It just takes too long. But just take my word for it. You need to keep your eyes open and always be mindful of whether you're with the crowd or whether you're going against the crowd, right? Because it's very, very rare that the masses are correct. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this window, and this is one of those times where, and this is the reason I have to edit this video, I'm going to swap from Chrome over to a Brave browser so I can show you some charts. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep the chart section pretty short and just kind of to the point, because more than anything else, what I want to show you guys and girls is something that you can take in the future and put in your bag of tricks, right? Because me sitting here and making predictions and things like that, it's only worth so much, right? It's probably, for most people, it's more entertainment than anything. I seriously doubt most people are taking anything I say and actually taking any kind of action on it. And that's good, right? Because I'm not doing financial advice videos, and I'm really not giving you trade calls. First of all, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to do trade calls. But also, just because trade calls, I mean, you've got to have a whole environment around it. Like, you've got to know what the entry is. You've got to know what the exit is. You've got to know what the invalidation point is, right? You got to know all that stuff, and it's really difficult to do that on a YouTube channel. So what I did want to show you, though, is if you guys remember back on the 4th. So my internet's running a little bit slow because I'm running through a VPN right now, because I'm actually trading again after taking most of June and all of July off. So back on the 4th, this is the video I did. You guys might have seen this, you might not have. But what I had said at the time was be careful, because this thing very well could pump back up, retest its double top neckline, and then take a move down. And at the time, price was around 11.2, and of course I had drawn this line up to around 12K. Well, if we look at it now with hindsight on our side, what happened, right? Literally the exact thing that I was drawing up in this video. And it's not because I'm some kind of wizard with a crystal ball. It was just one of a few different possibilities that were the most likely, right? There was also a head and shoulders forming in the 4-hour that looked like it might go down without retesting it. And I also talked about that possibility. So it was kind of like, hey, here's a few possibilities. You know, it's a good idea to have some kind of plan on how you're going to trade these if they come to pass. So here it is. This was the neckline, right? And I had posted in Discord, not Discord, sorry, Patreon, and Discord as well, obviously, but also on Patreon. I had said, look, back in the 4th, what I told them was more conservative traders will often wait for the retest of the neckline before going short. And up it went. A perfect close on that neckline. That was a close at $12,040 on the CME. And the very next candle tanked 4.96%, right? Now, the funny thing is, people will look and say, oh, James, you know, because you didn't, you know, gamble and you didn't try to catch a falling knife back here, look at all these gains you missed. Who cares? Who freaking cares? I can make 4% on a trade. I can make 2%, 3%, 5%, 10% on trades. And they compound, right? I don't need to expose myself to risk for 3 or 4 months straight, going to sleep every night with, you know, cold sweats because I have X amount of dollars in the market. I can keep my little my HODL portfolio, I was going to say Hodge fund, my hedge fund, HODL portfolio, whatever you want to call it, right? With that little bit of Bitcoin, I can keep that to the side, and you know, if it goes bust, it won't, you know, derail my life, so to speak. And at the same time, when I'm ready to trade, I can sit down and take these trades. And it's really not that difficult, right? If you know what you're looking at. Back in the 4th, what would have happened if you longed this? Well, you could have wrote it up 6%, turned around and shorted it, wrote it down 4%. There you go, right? Boom, 6%, 4% in 1 week. Based off of a very simple pattern that anybody can learn. It's a double top. That's all it is, guys, right? They do this, and more times than not, they come up to retest that and then move down, right? Now, don't mistake this. I'm not saying that this guarantees that this is going to go back down to 9,600. I don't know how low it's going to go. I have no idea how low it's going to go, right? The pattern doesn't give me a price target. It simply gives me a price direction that I might want to trade. So that's all that did, right? So for example, me personally, right, I do not, and I want to stress this because I was talking about this in Discord, and I think sometimes it gets lost on people on my public videos. I do not try to short Bitcoin on positional trades because Bitcoin is one of the scammiest markets on earth. And even when you're right, if you try to short Bitcoin on a position trade where you short it and try to ride it down for months, at some point it's very likely they're going to throw up a scammy ass candle and stop you out. As an example, say last year, say you shorted Bitcoin on this dump right here, say, hey, I'm going to short this thing at 10K, right? And if you're riding this thing down, you might have wrote it down, 30% almost. And then all of a sudden they throw this huge scammy pump in there, the Z pump. Now you're stopped out for maybe even a small loss, right? So I don't normally try to do positional shorts. The only position trades I take are usually longs, right? If I'm going to take a positional position, that's normally where I'm trying to buy a bottom and ride it up as high as I can. But when it comes to shorts, I try to keep my shorts mainly day trades. Every once in a while I'll throw in some swing trades as well, but I really don't like keeping trades open on the short side because it's nonstop with the stop hunts, right? You'll be in a short and you'll be absolutely correct, and the damn thing will pump up, stop you out, and then dump $1,000, right? So like on a trade like this, if I get in good, I'll take my profits, 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever, and then I'll move on and just wait and let it play out, and whatever happens, happens. But yeah, I definitely don't get greedy on the shorts. Bitcoin's a weird animal, and it's a strange beast because unlike most things, most assets won't just continue going up without constant buying pressure. Bitcoin has this deflationary, attribute to it, where just by the sheer, like the code, right, the software, right, it deflates versus inflates. So it's almost like Bitcoin wants to go up naturally, and that instead of taking a bunch of buying pressure to send it up, it's almost like it takes selling pressure to send it down, right? It's a really weird deal. But yeah, I'm not really big on trying to do positional shorts on Bitcoin. It's just, there's too many stop hunts, too many liquidation hunts and things like that. So I don't know that I've ever really talked about that before, but it is really important that you understand that, right? Even though I'm bearish on Bitcoin, right, on the macro level, and again, that's a whole long story I'm not going to get into. By now, if you watch these videos, I'm sure you know why, global economics, unemployment rates, blah, 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 right? But I still don't want to try to short it from 10 grand or 12 grand down to like 3 grand or something. And I'd rather just catch these moves, get my profit, lock it in, and then move on, right? And wait for the next opportunity. So as far as the next opportunity goes, let me just look at it. Let's look at a daily chart, right? Doesn't matter that much, but so this is a daily Coinbase chart, and here's what I'll tell you right now if you want to be bearish, right? Be careful. Be really, really careful, because look at where this actually came down to, right? You really need to pay attention. Like when you get these drops, you really, really need to pay attention to where they stop at. So for example, this one, it stopped at the highs over here, right? Now I understand it went lower here, but it stopped at the highs. It's absolutely feasible that that was nothing more than a shakeout, right? Before further upside. This thing could go up more. Really could, right? Even though it had the double top and everything, which is a reversal signal, there's no guarantee that it's going to keep going down. It might still go up more and try to wash out trapped bears, right? So keep that in mind. And again, that's another reason that I like to take my profits versus trying to be greedy. Greedy never works for me. When I get greedy, it always blows up in my face. Maybe one time I win and 9 times I lose. But by being consistent and just taking the profits and saying, okay, maybe it's, found support, works out much, much better for me. Okay. So keep that in mind on the daily, that it didn't find that level of support. Also, if you look at the 3-day right now, it's not looking, great, but it's not looking terrible. There was a lot of buying volume in this last candle, right? Not as high as this one, but that was a breakout. So that's not abnormal, right? Still much, much higher than back here. So I just don't know. I don't know that this thing is topped, right? I guess the next couple of days is kind of what we want to watch for that. One thing I will leave you with, and I think I am going to wrap up with this thought. One of the things that I shared in the video yesterday that I did that was like 55 minutes that I never uploaded. It's one of the few reasons that I think you got to be careful being too bearish, right? So let me just take everything off and kind of map this out, okay? So what I was waiting for in 2019, the reason that I was so bearish when it was up around like 12, 13 grand, the reason I was waiting for 4,200, right? I was wanting that gap to fill in, but that wasn't the only reason. I was really drawing a lot of comparisons to 2015 and the bottom of the 2015 market. And what really happened in 2015 was Bitcoin bottomed in January, but then it came back down and retested that bottom about 8 months later, okay? So basically what it did was it threw this tail down and it retested the lowest close. Not the tail down here, but the lowest close. And so I was waiting for that $4,200 gap to fill. Also, when I was waiting on it, I realized that was going to be very, very close to this lowest close back here, which happened to be, this is a total market cap, but just bear with me. This lowest close back here happened to be about 106 billion, right? Well, what happened in March, and you got to really be careful with this, is look at this. Granted, it went much higher than what I expected it to, right, in June, but it did throw this tail down, guys, and it did retest this old bottom, and that does look a hell of a lot. I'll put it on a log chart so it's easier to see. That looks a hell of a lot, like that right there. You see it? Not only that, but if you're looking at this and if you're ignoring the global picture and you're ignoring the economic picture and all that stuff, if you're just looking at a Bitcoin chart and nothing else, which to be clear, I'm not doing, I want to take everything into consideration. But if we're looking at just Bitcoin, this tail is what's called a capitulation tail. And it's one of the things that we never got back here, and it was really, really weird. So this huge tail happened right here. It was always really weird. Again, that was one of the reasons that I was so bearish last year, because I was like, there was never a capitulation event, right? There's got to be capitulation. I mean, doesn't have to be, but that's what I was thinking. Is surely there's going to be capitulation. Well, that huge ass tail that's, massive, yeah, that's called capitulation, right? So it is very possible that the bottom is in, and I think realistically, if the stock market does not crash, if somehow we make it out of this entire mess without the stock markets crashing, and if the Fed is able to save the day, temporarily at least, because I think long term, no matter what happens, I think long term we're going to pay a hell of a price for what they did this year. But hypothetically, if somehow the stock markets end up just continuing to pump, which will be ridiculous, but if that happens, I do think the bottom is in on Bitcoin, right? Now, I'm not going to long it. Let's be very clear. Again, I'm looking at the whole picture. I'm looking at risk reward and things like that. And to me, it's not worth longing Bitcoin on an investment level other than what I already have in the market, right? But I do want to be very clear about this, because there are some people that are just going to sit and wait and wait and wait, and they have no Bitcoin at all and think, oh, it's got to come back down. It's got to come back down. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to come back down, right? It does not have to come back down. This really could be this. And if you look at what happened after that, it didn't come back down, right? It went completely stupid and pumped, 10x or 20x. Now, that being said, for those of you that just got a really sick feeling in your stomach and started to feel that FOMO wash over you, let me show you something. And then I'm going to wrap up. Okay, so we're going to go back. We got to take this off of a log chart, so I'm put on a proper chart. Stop drawing lines, trading view. All right. So this is that candle that came down and retested that low back there. Okay, now watch what happened. It pumped about 100 or so percent. I don't know the exact number. Let's measure it. 156%. Massive pump. Okay. But what did it do? How many times have you all heard me say golden pocket, golden pocket, golden pocket, golden pocket, golden pocket? Right? Markets love the golden pocket, golden pocket, golden pocket. Look. Yes, it ran up 150%, whatever we just said. Yes, that's massive. Yes, I'm sure a ton of people were FOMOing in. But what did it do? The very next week, tagged its golden pocket. See that? Imagine buying right here and then being stopped out when it dropped to the golden pocket, only to watch it pump right after that, right? And what was the difference? And again, we're looking at total market cap, but it's fine. It's just, you know, I should have put it on Bitcoin, but I didn't. So we're just, you know, deal with it. Sorry. But if you look at this, that was a drop of about 38%. Okay. Now let's go over to current times, right? Let's assume that the bulls are right and that this was the bottom and that this thing's pumping crazy. Awesome, right? Okay, so it's up 234%, so it's already moved up more. Fine. This also, by the way, took about twice as long to get from here to here. This was about 15 months. Last time it was about 7 months. So there are some key differences, but let's just draw some fibs. So there's some fibs. Where's that golden pocket? Right in this area right here. Okay. How big of a drop would that be? I don't know. I didn't measure it yet. Okay, about 43%. Are you seeing it? It's very, very similar. So my point being is that's why I don't freak out and FOMO in, right? If this thing pulls back and if it does find support right down in this zone, and if it looks like it's going to head back up and it looks like all the global picture is starting to clear up, right? Then yeah, maybe I will, you know, add more Bitcoin to my HODL portfolio that I plan on holding long term. But what I don't want to do is I never want to chase it. I never want to say, well, shit, it's just going to keep going up, right? Because more often than not, it's not. It's not going to keep going up, right? And that's how you lose a lot of money. So again, this is a total market cap chart, but just real quickly, so there's no confusion, I'll pull up a BLX chart. I'm not going to go back through the whole thing step by step, but I'll just show you a quick picture of it. All right, so let's take everything off the chart. Okay, we're on a non-log, right? So we'll put it on a monthly chart, so it's real easy to see this. Put it on log. So there's what I'm talking about right there. Came down, boom, tested that close. Here's Bitcoin, and came down. Didn't quite get to the close on that one, right? Instead, what it did was basically fill in that gap, right? So again, it's slightly different. Keep that in mind. Also, date range, very, very different, right? 7 months, whereas this time you're talking about 14 months, so twice as long, okay? But as far as the fibs and things like that, they're pretty close. I don't think they were exactly the golden pocket last time. Let me find that area where it broke out. So that would have been right here, okay. So on Bitcoin, it depends on how you look at it. From this, was that August? Yeah. So it ran up and it actually came down to right around its 50%, right? So again, on Bitcoin, maybe we get something similar. Maybe it's worth watching the total market cap to see if it hits its golden pocket, right? Ran up, consolidated, gave people basically 3 or 4 or 5 months to get in before it finally took off, okay? And the other thing, probably won't be able to see this on a monthly. Let's see if we can find it on a weekly. The other thing to notice about this is when this thing did take off back here, it put in a textbook. Look at this. I mean, picture perfect ascending triangle. So people basically had from October of 2015, now this is assuming they missed the entry back here, right? They had from October of 2015 all the way through May of 2016. So about 7 months to realize, uh-oh, I was wrong. That really was the bottom. I better buy Bitcoin, right? 7 long months. So there wasn't like, imagine being back here and FOMOing in and realizing, shit, I could have waited 7 months, you know, and still got in at the exact same price. Or imagine FOMOing in right here and then realizing, well, gosh, I could have gotten a whole lot cheaper down here or over here, so on and so forth. So my suspicion is if this is legit, which I don't think it is, but if this is legit, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this thing starts to put in some type of bullish pattern and allows people to get into that market, right? But again, without making the video even longer, because here I am over 30 minutes and I was trying to keep this short. This is the nightmare with shooting these types of videos. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there so that I don't completely lose the urge to edit this and get it uploaded for you. All right. With all that being said, please remember I am just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. Nothing in the video is financial advice. Nothing in the video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency. If you have not already, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and like I said, make sure to check the description for a link where you can join the Patreon for just $7 a month. That keeps the channel alive, keeps the videos coming, and more importantly for you, it gives you access to more frequent updates. This is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to please trade safe.